Hello, everyone. It is Dylan
And
back
Kennedy.
here with Mindful Moments.
And since we are approaching the Thanksgiving season, we wanted to highlight being grateful for the little things and appreciating everything that we are given in life.
Yeah,
Gratitude means to be grateful, to be thankful, and just to appreciate everything that you're blessed with because we take we don't appreciate the little things like waking
yeah.
up in the morning. Some people didn't get a chance to start their day today. Some people out of nowhere lost their voice or they lost their ability to walk. Some people didn't get to see their families because
Yeah.
of something crazy, but
Some
you
people
know,
aren't even born with those things.
no,
Like some
literally.
are deaf, some are blind, and like it's just like it's not like they're sold out as human. It's just like they don't get to experience everything that we look at as like a given. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And
Like we're taught that like our senses, our sight, hearing, touch, smell, but like not everyone has
that's,
the ability to do like. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So overall main story, it's just like you need to be appreciative of the very small things in life, and maybe like each day you say something that you're grateful for, like a small thing, like for example like your favorite pen. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like because that is yours, and that's like a comfort to you.
Yeah,
So
when I have Thanksgiving at my house, we always go around the table and
mhm.
we do that thing. It's like what I'm grateful for, what you're grateful for. And I used to hate it when I was little because I
Yeah.
just wanted to eat the turkey on the table. But now I'm starting to understand why my mom had us do that. So it can just highlight the little things that we
Hmm.
don't usually appreciate.
And I think feeling appreciative and actually showing it are two different things, and
Yes.
speaking up about it, because you can be given, but it's how you react. And I think appreciation is also like giving it back.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's called Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
obviously that's like why we're covering it today.
Hmm.
So yeah.
And I also think that's a topic, even for Christmas too. People are always like, "Do you like to give more? Or do you like to gift more?" And I don't know. I feel like I like to give more because seeing the reaction of people being so happy, getting a present that you actually put thought into and time and effort
Yeah. And
into.
like that person specifically, they wanted that thing. How
Hmm.
does that thing relate to you or even your friendship? I think that's like a very special ability to be able to both give and get.
Yes, and it personally warms my heart just seeing a smile on their face,
Yeah,
and I know that I had something to do with it.
exactly.
Different ways I like to express gratitude. Like sometimes my dad will get up and make breakfast when I know he had a long day at work the day before, and I'll just leave him a little note or send him a text just saying that I appreciated what he did, even though it's obviously I guess a given because he's a chef. He probably should be making food for his family, but you're not always gonna want to cook after you had a long day. So I just feel like the little things matter.
Yeah, and like a big part of that is like actively like noticing it in the moment, not being like, "Oh, Dad, thank you for dinner like 2 nights ago," blah blah blah. And maybe because like you're in a different situation where you don't have dinner, and you're like, "Oh wow." So I think you have to just do it in the moment.
Yeah.
You can't realize it later. You need to do it in the moment so it's more genuine, and it's not necessarily that thing that will happen like again, but
Yeah.
it's just, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get it. And another thing that just shows me people are grateful to have me in their life, and that I do to show people I'm grateful to have them is like I'll just randomly text them, checking up on them, even if we haven't talked in a while or I haven't particularly seen them in a while, or even if we're not in the best state to even be talking at the moment. I'll just text them, seeing how they are, making sure they're doing okay, ask if they need anything because it's always good to be there for someone, even if they're not particularly there for you.
And like that's a thing. And if someone is in a challenging time, how do they notice gratitude, and how are they grateful? Do you know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
it's kind of it can be hard to like cultivate that gratitude and like know when it's. I think that's like a big thing. You're at an age where you know that you need to be grateful.
Yeah.
Like people are always like everything that you're taught in kindergarten like will affect your life. Like we're taught please, thank you,
Hmm.
sorry, and we're taught that because even in difficult times, it's an expectancy to always be grateful and always be uplifting, and you just need to always find the silver linings in life.
Right, and that's the thing. You always think people are taught this stuff, but we do all these food drives, toy drives, clothes drives. Some people don't even have the necessities they need to live a normal life. So this stuff that we're saying, oh, you wake up, you have clothes to put on your back, you have food to eat. People don't have that.
Yeah,
So the fact that we're even in the place to be able to help, that shows gratitude in itself.
yeah, and I think you need to focus on what you do have rather than focusing on
Yes.
what you don't have. I still remember this assignment in second grade. It was like needs and wants. What's like a need and what's a want? Like a need is like food. A want's like I don't know, like a cigarette. I know that's like a bad thing to say, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it's just like you need to choose one, and and the truth is there are some children and teenagers especially, who like their parents will choose that bad thing over the right thing for
Yeah.
them. And then like an example is generational trauma, so we're naturally taught that, and you just have to be the one to break that, and you need to be the one to start setting the example, that gratitude and knowing what is necessary and what is not.
Yeah, and I feel like as Gen Z, we're trying to break that generational trauma
Yeah.
curse. Um, I've definitely seen a lot on TikTok. I guess it's like it's not a trend, but they try to make it like a joke because we try to make a joke out of even serious situations to alleviate the
Yeah.
actual seriousness of the situation.
Hmm.
But breaking the generational curse, I guess that's the big thing nowadays because we want our kids to grow up better than we grew up, and I feel like we grew up pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
If you ask me.
I feel like the brink of our childhood at the very beginning was like right when like devices starting to come around.
Mm.
So we weren't really in that era. Like I feel like when I was like maybe like 10, 11, like that's when everything started to pick up. So like I'm grateful for an example. Like I'm grateful that I had the childhood that I did, and I was able to experience like what a childhood would have looked like 20 years ago.
Mm.
Like I'm not criticizing parents or even like kids who like have to reflect back on that childhood. But I'm just extremely grateful for how I grew up and the support system that I had around me.
I remember when I was in like sixth grade, my mom would not give me a phone. I used to be so upset because my friends were playing Roblox
Uh-huh.
and they were on house party, and I was like, I want to do that too. But she gave me some Barbies and a Leapfrog tablet. I was like, so when is it my turn? But I grew up to realize that she did that for a reason, and it kept my innocence longer, and I really appreciate her for
Yeah. And I read somewhere that there's like actually like science like behind gratitude, and you feel less overwhelmed when you're actually showing, because
that.
people are always like when you bottle things up, well, not all that has to be like negative, because that positive that could have been done in the moment can turn into regret. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I feel like kind of like our podcast, my mindful moments, it's not because of demure, it's because you have to be living in the moment, and you have to know when's right and when is wrong. And personally, I think almost 99% of the time is in the moment, in the time. Don't save it for later.
Yeah, I think that's another thing with phones. We've grown as a society to always want to take a picture
Hmm.
or record what's going on when we really just need to
Yeah.
learn how to live in the moment. Like, I know this one artist, Nicki Minaj, every time a fan gets on stage, they'll try to record and she'll say, put your phone down, live in the moment.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that chance to get on stage with Nicki Minaj every day.
Mm-mm.
Just be there instead of worrying about posting it on Instagram later. Like,
Yeah.
that's an opportunity that you'll never
And
get
like
to experience.
I truly, actually, what, there was a AP Lang essay that was talking about, and this is retired, so I'm not to talk about it. It was talking about pictures. Like, is it controversial? Like, do you take the moment, or do you do you like snapshot it and like
Mm-hmm.
relive that moment? And I think that's very controversial. Everyone obviously has different opinions, but one of my biggest regrets is I was at a Lana Del Rey concert at Lollapalooza 2 years ago, and I sat there recording for like an hour and a half out of her 2 hour show. I had like 2 hours of my phone was just her singing, and I live in that moment. Like it's just kind of like I blacked out, and like I really regret that. So I feel like, especially like if you just look up at any concert, like specifically Billie Eilish,
Mm-hmm.
fans just always find a way to make it about themselves, even if it is just about that phone. But recently she's trying to do like harmonics, like she's
I
recording
know what you're
a
talking
backing
about.
track.
And the dude, he said, "I love you, Billy," and it was repetitively on the track as she said it again, and that kind of messed up the whole performance.
Yeah, and it's like she wants that moment for later. Do you know what I mean? Sorry guys, Kennedy had to sneeze.
That was Dylan.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, but pretty fun.
And we just actually posted on our newfound Instagram account.
Yay.
At MMAM Podcast. That's on
Guys, go
Instagram.
follow. We need to get these. Oh, go follow. We need to get our followers up, please.
And our first like post like referring to mental health was, living in the moment, often referred to as mindfulness allows us to fully appreciate the present and find joy in the little things. Incorporating mindfulness into your daily routine can transform your life and positively impact those around you. Embrace the present, and you'll find that each moment becomes more meaningful and enriching. Mindfulness helps us reduce stress, improve our mental health, and enhances connection with those around us. Embrace and appreciate the now. enhances connections with those around us. I think that's the highlight of the
Yes.
entire thing.
Did you write that?
Yes, I did write it.
Guys, Dylan's such a great writer. If you
Thank
don't
you.
listen to his stuff or read his writing, go read it. And he's the one that writes the announcements most of the time. He
Most
just
of the
does
time.
so great. Like,
Thank you.
yeah.
You know what? We should start, like, when we record, we should start, like, going over, like, what we announced during the week. Not, like, obviously give, like, the entire spiel, but, like, do you know what I mean?
Yes, we should.
Or, like,
So,
yeah.
go ahead.
Or, like, announce what we did on the podcast. Tying that in together. I think that's, like, a big thing.
So today's announcement was talking about how Thanksgiving break is swiftly approaching and our finals are around the corner. We encourage you guys not to stress, to practice time management and trust yourself.
I think with Ms. Arzab, we talked about time management a lot
Yes.
in both of our parts. So if not, then go refer to episode 2.
Yes, and don't give up, because at the end result, your future self is going to be super proud of you.
Yes.
Because, you know, it all comes back to you.
All comes back.
Okay, y'all. So I think a thing to be grateful about is your abilities and your talents that you have for yourself. Like, I know so many great athletes, great musicians, great artists, and they just don't appreciate their own ability. Like, they'll repeatedly doubt themselves, or they'll penalize their own work. And when I listen to them, or when I see their art, or even when I just like see them flip across the floor or throw a ball across the field, I'm like, you're doing really good.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
People really need to realize how great they are as a person.
Yeah.
And be grateful for yourself, because you're a blessing. Even though you didn't ask to be here, because I know a bunch of us have pulled that card from our parents.
Yeah.
You're a blessing, and you're
are
here for a reason, because God makes everybody for a reason. If you weren't here, then there will be so much stuff going on. Like, I was thinking, if I wasn't at the show, my prop wouldn't have turned. Then that would have messed up our show, because our prop wouldn't have turned.
Yeah.
Or if Selene wasn't there, we probably would have fell apart, because we don't have a main drum major, let alone a soloist for part 3. Or if our quarterback wasn't on the field during football season, who's gonna throw the ball? I'm sorry, y'all, I don't understand football.
Okay. You know, this past weekend, we were at Bands of America Grand Nationals. You would know that if you followed our Instagram. But basically, we have each class, a representative, talk about their experience with their past band and, like, coming into marching season. And one of my close friends, she's a sophomore, Stephanie, she said, let's thank ourselves. Give yourself a hug. Like, we have all put in so much hard work as a group, but in truth, that all comes from being individually hardworking and just naturally hardworking. And I think, like you said, it's so important to thank yourself and, again, give yourself a hug, quote unquote. It's just, you need to be, if you're not grateful for yourself, how are you going to be grateful for others?
Right, you need to practice gratitude for yourself too, because it'll all come together. And you should practice gratitude for yourself, because it will show your journey, how you grow, and how you encourage other people to grow around you.
Yeah.
Because your attitude influences the attitude of people around you too. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. So you set the tone for the people around you also. If you are in a bad mood, I feel like the people around you are also going to be in a bad mood. So just try to have positive vibes. Even though that saying is really corny, positive vibes just sets the tone for your day.
Yeah. You said it'll, like, all come together, and I think, like, a big way of bringing it all together, or not a big way, a good way of bringing it all together is, like, a gratitude journal, specifically, like, what you're grateful for, and make that, like, a daily thing, so that you're just not like, oh, you know, today I'll be grateful for XYZ, and next week, blah, blah, blah. Make that a daily thing. It doesn't have to be, like, a huge thing, like a meal. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful that I did well on this. You know, and it doesn't have to be self-built. You know, you can do it off of other people. Like, I'm grateful that this person did XYZ.
And one thing I always try to do before I wake up in the morning, before I go get on my phone, or I just do something that's probably not going to be very productive, I like to pray. And I just like to thank God for everything that he blessed me with. Thank him for allowing me to wake up that morning, that I'm even breathing, I can still see, that I can still speak. So just thank him, because he's the one that's blessing us with all this stuff in the first place.
And, you know, like, if you feel appreciative and if you are grateful, why aren't you showing it? Do you know what I mean? I think that ties in directly with our quote of the day. Do you want to read it, Kennedy?
Yeah. So it says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a gift and not giving it. That's by William Arthur Ward.
Yeah, and, like, it's the truth. Like, I told Miss Arjat the quote at the beginning of it, and she was like, yeah, like, it's the truth. Because it's a simple, plain truth. Like, gratitude is about expressing and giving back. And that just gives us into the whole reason of the episode. It's Thanksgiving season. but at the same time, like you have 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
Have something that you're grateful for every day.
Because Thanksgiving isn't just the time to be thankful.
You know, our band director always says, if you can raise your hand and say something that you can do better, and every single one of you can do it, and every one of you makes that thing better, that's 130 things.
Yeah.
If every single one of us as a human did 365 things a year, or however many days there are in a year, depending on the leap year, um, imagine that, and imagine the wellness of this world, and the well-being. Imagine how much better and appreciative we would be just like naturally as human beings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like that. We're taught to be grateful.
And it's really the little things that makes the world go around. That's another corny saying that I'm sure people say are corny, but it is the little things. Just being grateful, practicing gratitude, being appreciative, telling someone that you love them, or checking in on somebody. That just could make someone's day all around.
Again, simply just saying thank you, like that can go such a long way, such a
Yeah.
long way, and you have to be mindful of that, because then the more you express that, and then you'll be known as like an appreciative person. So that when someone does something to you, going into it, they know that you will be very appreciative.
Right.
Because maybe it's something that like you really need. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So keep checking in on those around you. And the golden rule since I was little was always treat others how you would want to be treated. So never forget that. And set the vibe, set the tone. Good vibes always.
And treat yourself well. Again, like we said, be grateful for you. Be grateful for your abilities.
Yes.
You know, it's realize your potential. Don't let it go to waste.
And don't give up. I know finals are coming up and we're all getting a little bit stressed, but just push through, because trust me, when you start turning those college applications, you're going to thank yourself.
Yeah. Speaking about turning in, we're going to turn in this episode. I think it's about time. Yeah. Okay. Just to reiterate, the past 3 episodes, we've gotten no Dropbox suggestions. So maybe let's start doing that. Yeah. You know what? I forgot to mention this. We have people listening outside of Marian. So, you know, if you have suggestions, I mean, I'm sure you can like DM our Instagram. Yes. I'm sure
we can post a questionnaire on the Instagram too, and leave it in the highlight. I'm sure that'll be
because like I don't want to be like exclusive, and I feel like like this is like through our school, but you know, the overall well-being of students in the world.
That's very important.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Again, think about yourself. Think what you are grateful for today, and think about how you can show it. And
if you do come to Marian, come to Mental Health Club. It's every Monday after school in Miss Van Bee's room 113. So,
thank you guys so much for listening. Love you.